And there we are. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Thursday, our last day of the week. Yeah, that's what's going on. It's still rainy here in Southern California. I don't know what to do with myself. I really don't. I'm wearing a shirt. What's up, Karen? How are you? I think so far the everyone is just me and you, though. You're an early arrival. What's up, Frederick? By the way, what's up, DLJ? What's up, Joshua? Thank you very much. Mystic Warrior, one of our regulars on the show, gave me this shirt. He painted this shirt himself, and he gave it to me when I met him at our show in Gainesville. So, Mystic Warrior, I hope you're on the stream today, and thank you very much for the shirt, if you are. What's up, Mr. Gone? What's up, Omar? What's up, Matthew? It's rainy in Northern California, too. What's up, Watson? Good to see ya. By the way, for any East Coast people, we just confirmed a show in New York City. June 17th, Broadway Comedy Club, New York City. Details, still working out the details. What's up, Emos? Howdy, howdy. Excuse me. But breaking news, we have confirmed. It's not rainy in Malaysia. Good to know. Man, it's rainy here. It's been 4 days in a row, which is very not like Southern California, as you all know. Hi, Susan. Good to see ya. What's up, Aaron? What's up, Gemini? What's up, Omar? We're almost at 30. Once we're at 30, we'll officially begin. New York City, here comes Ron and Graham. That's right. What's up, 311? Good to see ya. Good to see everyone. Gonna snow like mad on Sunday in New England. Sorry, guys. I have a little frog in my throat. Please excuse me. What's up, Colin? Good to see you, buddy. What's up, Lily? And David, June 17th, New York City. Mark your calendar. We are pretty much confirmed. June 17th, New York City. We will be there. And I'm really stoked for a New York City show. I can't freaking wait. Thank you very much, Long Beach. We are at 30. Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. Lucy's stoked. It's a Thursday show. She's into it. She's meowing at my feet. She might jump up on my lap. We'll see. You know her. Guys, thank you for the compliments on my shirt, by the way. It was a gift from Mystic Warrior, who is one of the regulars on our show here. You see him in the chat a lot. I met him in Gainesville. He came out to our Gainesville show. He paints these shirts, and he gave me one. So I'm wearing it today on the stream. I don't know where, I don't know if he's here yet or not, but hopefully he'll make his voice known in the chat if he is. And that'll be how we do. You know. Lucy's meowing. We'll see her later. She'll definitely say hello at some point. That's a promise. Because it's Thursday, guys. We usually start out with something light on a Thursday. Today is no different. I wanted to show this to everybody. I just found out about this. This morning, as I found out about everything this morning. Louisville renames airport after native son, Muhammad Ali. Officials announced Wednesday that the Louisville International Airport will be renamed for Muhammad Ali, who was born and buried in the Kentucky city. The decision arrived via unanimous vote. So here's what the mayor, Greg Fisher, had to say. Muhammad Ali belonged to the world, but he only had one hometown, and fortunately, that is our great city of Louisville. Muhammad became one of the most well-known people to ever walk the earth and has left a legacy of humanitarianism and athleticism that has inspired billions of people. And the article points out he was once reviled after changing his name to Cassius Clay, from Cassius Clay to Ali, with Malcolm X sitting by his side and consciously objecting to participating in the Vietnam War. He was largely reviled. But his public sentiment changed which means he was on the right side of history. And I also appreciate that they compare what Muhammad Ali went through to what Colin Kaepernick's going through today. So Muhammad Ali really kind of set the tone for what it means to be an activist in sports. And this is some pretty cool news. That's cool that the airport's being named after him. So I guess my question for the day, because I wanted to do a light, fun one, and start out with a little bit of kind of cool news. What's your favorite airport? And then follow up, what is your least favorite airport? My favorite airport is the Colorado Springs, Colorado airport, or the Burbank airport. Both of those airports have about 8 gates. They are tiny. The Wi-Fi is killer at the Colorado Springs airport, and they have all kinds of cool sand art everywhere. I love the Colorado Springs airport. A lot of times when I would tour Colorado, it was cheaper to fly into the Springs, and the rental car was also cheaper out there. So if I was doing some dates in Colorado, I would fly into the Springs to save a little bit of money, and because it was just a much better airport experience than flying into Denver. No offense to Denver, I love Denver, but their airport is freaking huge and a clusterfuck in comparison to Colorado Springs. So my favorite airport, Colorado Springs. My least favorite airport, I'm going to have to go with Atlanta. It's the busiest airport in the world. How can you choose anywhere else? Atlanta. It's just insane. Atlanta, close second, SFO. SFO is a freaking nightmare. It is way too small for what that city needs, and it's just a pain. So that's my list. Favorites, Colorado Springs, Burbank. Least favorites, SFO, Atlanta. Philadelphia, not a fan. DC, although I'm not sure which one it is that I like less, but anyway, yeah. The big ones I don't mind. JFK I don't mind that much. LAX, I don't like LAX. Nobody likes LAX, but I've been to way worse airports than LAX. Nashville, I'll give a warm shout out to Nashville. Nashville's a pretty badass airport. Nashville and Austin are actually pretty badass airports. If they were lower key, they would be my 2 favorites. Why? Because those 2 have live music and venues everywhere in their airport. Because they want to give you a taste of the city. And Seattle has a Sub Pop store, which is kind of neat. So let me see what you guys are saying. What are some of your favorite airports? As you can tell by my response, I do travel a fair amount. Let's see here. PDX, is that a favorite or least favorite? Matthew gives a shout out to Austin and San Francisco the least. Moosegal, my favorite airport is O'Hare because that's all I really know. Moosegal, excuse me. There is a wonderful song by Alkaline Trio. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that band or not, but Alkaline Trio has a song, and there's a line in it that says, "If assholes could fly, this place would be busier than O'Hare." And yes, I did hear about the news regarding Senator Rand Paul in Canada. Rand Paul, the guy who hates socialized healthcare, who hates universal healthcare, is going to Canada for surgery. And I'm wondering if there is a copay with the dose of irony he'll be receiving. Let's see. Cicero, Illinois, and Moss gives a shout out to. I'm not familiar with that airport. Oh, I forget. I think the song is called Moosegal. I think the song is called "You're Dead." Actually, here, let me look it up for you real quick. It's on From Here to Infirmary. Let me try to find... Yep, You're Dead. Yeah. The song is called "You're Dead." It's on their album From Here to Infirmary. It's a sad song, but it's a very beautiful, very, very beautiful song. Daniel, yes, it is raining like hell here in Cali. And thank you for the compliments. Man, I wish I really feel bad. I don't think Mystic Warrior's here, and I feel bad about that because everybody's complimenting his shirt that he gave me, and I wish he was here to see all that, but I don't think he's in the chat today. Or if he is, he's not. He's not revealing himself. Hello, Marcia. Yes, it is rainy. Ugh, so lame. We're talking about our favorite and least favorite airports because there was a story in the news today. They're renaming the Louisville airport after Muhammad Ali, which is kind of cool. That's a neat idea. I like Muhammad Ali. Big activist in sports. And so we're asking everybody what their favorite and least favorite airports are. Chris, it is snowing in Indiana. Good to know. Karen, can you buy these shirts? I don't know. Hopefully Mystic Warrior pops in on a show at some point, and we can all talk to him about it. I don't think he's here today, but Mystic Warrior, I think 108 is the number after it. I got to meet him in person because he came out to our Gainesville show, and he gave me this shirt. Oh, and another quick announcement. He also wanted to give me some vinyl of his music, and I couldn't take it back with me. I was like, I can't take it back with me because I had no way to pack it, you know, without it getting destroyed. So I finally solved that problem, you guys, and I got a P.O. box. So if you ever want to send me anything snail mail, I got a P.O. box. You can go to ronplacone.com. My P.O. box info is there. I know people like to send me music some, which is super cool and flattering. They want me to have it on vinyl, which is also super cool and flattering because I know that's not cheap. But if you want to send me some, I got a P.O. box. And I'd love to hear everybody's music. All right. Mystic Warrior, good stuff. Shanghai airports in Singapore. That's a cool one. Good to know. I've never been. Herman points out we do need the rain here in California. Yes, of course we do. But we'll complain about it anyway. Or I will. Long Beach gets a shout out as a cool airport. I've actually never been to Long Beach Airport. I've taken a ferry out of Long Beach before. But I've never done a plane there. Let's see. Are you still putting your album out on vinyl? Yes, I need to do that. I'm looking into it. It's really tough to get short vinyl runs. So right now, my album is mostly just available digitally, and then I have download cards. And of course, if you become a patron, patreon.com/ronplacone, you can get my album. But anyway, I am looking into trying to get a limited edition vinyl run of my album. It's just taken longer than I expected. Jaybird, you've only flown once for 30 minutes. And it's -11 where you're at. Holy shit. Edinburgh is Susan's favorite airport. That's awesome. Heathrow, least favorite. You know, my fiance, I proposed in Edinburgh. I know I've probably told all you guys that before, so I apologize for repeating myself. But I proposed in Edinburgh to my now fiance. And she actually has a lovely photo that she took of the Princess Garden Park and the kind of hill overlooking where I proposed. So now we have it in a framed photo. So I can always point to that and be like, that's where I proposed. Years from now when I'm all old. Be like, that's where I proposed. Huh? Cool. K-Line says, Pearson in Toronto is getting worse as far as airports go. Right on, right on. Yeah, and Daniel echoes the sentiment. -11. Pretty freaking brutal. What's up, Jennifer? Good to see you. Good morning. Good to see everybody. Happy Thursday. I went to a party last night. Not really a party, just like a dinner gathering. And politics came up. And so now I'm worried that I embarrassed my fiance. I might have. I don't think I did. She tells me I didn't. I hope I didn't. But you know, me and one of her friends, Sigos, who's a really cool guy. We have a lot in common when it comes to music and politics. But, you know, we were talking about the world at large and, you know, giving our thoughts on things. And, you know, we disagreed on some things, agreed on a lot more. But we were both passionate about the world at large. Not necessarily towards each other, just about the world at large. And yeah, I'm worried I embarrassed her. Because everybody was just like, I don't know if we want to go there. And we're like, well, we do. We want to talk about this. Here's what's going on in the world. And I'd had a few whiskeys, so I was more animated. Because that's what whiskey does. It animates me. So anyway, I really hope I did. I told her, I was like, I'm sorry I embarrassed you. She's like, you didn't embarrass me. I was like, you sure? I feel like I probably did. I don't want to be that guy ever. I really don't. All right, let's move on to other fun things in the world. All right, so this is kind of a breaking thing here, and it's really fucking funny. So this is new as of this morning. President Trump's former lawyer paid Liberty University employee to rig online polls. All right, so according to a strange new report in the Wall Street Journal, President Donald Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, hired a small tech company called Redfish Solutions to rig online polls in favor of Trump. And in the most bizarre twist, Cohen even paid to have a vanity Twitter account made called Women for Cohen, which described the attorney as strong, a pit bull, and perhaps least convincing, a sex symbol. Hey, if I'm showing out some Benjamins to get these polls rigged, I want to get a little something for me. Make a Women for Cohen Twitter account. I want them to think I'm a sex symbol. Can you do this? Did he ask for this with a straight face? And again, this is just coming to the surface this morning. We're still watching it unfold. I'm not saying that because I don't believe it or I do believe it. I'm saying that just to, just to be totally transparent here. As of the recording of this is breaking news this morning. We're still watching the story unfold. There may be further developments. This is Get Your News On with Ron, where we get our news on together in the morning. It's as if you're waking up and being like, oh, this is going on, and then things evolve. But we do that as a group. And one of us, me, is on camera for it. Just giving all those disclaimers now, in case this story develops further and someone sees this, it developed further, it changed, why didn't you fucking... Alright. Anyway. Oh wait, let me go back to the article. Did I mention I had a couple whiskeys last night? So Cohen pleaded guilty to campaign finance violations. We know this. So the fake pro-Cohen Twitter account's still active. All right, so here's where the story gets weirder. Apparently, the Liberty University guy was stiffed on the payment. And Liberty University is a terrible place. As the article points out, here's the verbiage from the article, which I appreciate this article, by the way. Gauger is also reportedly the CIO at Liberty University in Virginia, operated by Trump ally and morally confused sack of shit, Jerry Falwell Jr. Falwell has been a champion of President Trump, despite Trump's war on everything good. Why have Americans been able to do more to help people in need around the world than any of this? Because of free enterprise? Okay, so this is what Falwell says at Liberty University. A poor person never gave anyone a job. A poor person never gave anyone charity, not of any real value. It's just common sense to me. Because, Jesus was all about shitting on the poor. That was something he did. So here is the two polls. Because my first question when I saw this, like a little bit earlier, I was like, what polls were they? Because there are so many online polls, especially during an election season. Which, by the way, our election seasons now start about 2 years in advance. As soon as the midterms are over, 2020 campaigning starts. As we're seeing. Smear pieces start. Valid criticisms start. And smear pieces, once again, start. So I was wondering what polls they were. I mean, I remember the first presidential election I really just got knees deep in was 2008. Because I was really, really opposed to George W. Bush. I had woken up politically 4 years prior, and I tried to stop George W. Bush. We weren't able to. So in 2008, I was like, we got to get someone better in the White House. I was a Kucinich guy, even though I knew he likely didn't have a chance. I really fought hard for Dennis Kucinich. I thought he was the best choice because he was. And I ended up voting for Obama. I mean, I when Kucinich didn't win, I did get in line with Obama. But I remember there would be so many online polls, and I would vote in all of them, and I would just be like, I would vote And all of them, I would scourge the internet for them daily. And here's the thing, a lot of them were polls that were made by these really left-wing websites. So Kucinich won all of them. And I would get really into it. I'm like, he's winning all these grassroots polls. And really, the only other people that saw them were other lefties. So you have stuff like that. That goes on the right, that goes on the left, that goes on in the middle, that goes on in the establishment. Almost every poll you see out there is skewed to some great degree. They want to skew the results. Or if it's an establishment-based poll, they skew the questioning to get the type of results they want so they can write bullshit propaganda articles about them later. That's just what happens. Polls should be taken with whatever, what's a level up from a grain of salt? An IV of salt. There you go. Polls should be taken with an IV of salt. I'm proud of that quote. I kind of like it. Anyway, getting back to this article. So what polls were they? Well, here's the polls they were. One was on CNBC that predates Trump's presidential candidacy in 2014 and claimed to rank America's top business leaders. Another poll from February 2015 was featured on the Drudge Report. Gauger reportedly wrote computer scripts that would repeatedly vote for Trump, but may not have been great at his job. The Drudge Report poll only got Trump about 5% of the vote. Now, Gauger was reportedly supposed to receive $50,000, and he didn't get it. Oh, wait, there was something else that was funny in this article that I think I missed. Oh, yeah. So when they did pay this guy, which apparently he only got $13,000, he was promised $50,000. They gave it to him inside a Walmart shopping bag. Which how perfect is that? That is the only. If you are paying to have polls rigged by Donald Trump for Donald Trump, and you're paying some skeezy operative that works at some skeezy right-wing slimebag university, the only way you should receive payment is cash in a Walmart bag. That is that. I mean, hey, that's the one thing that Cohen got right here. It just wasn't the right amount, apparently. And again, we're still watching this unfold. There will likely be further developments. I'm not saying I don't believe it or I do believe it. I'm just saying, you know, it's breaking right now. And we're having just a he said versus he said battle right now. So here's what Michael Cohen tweeted. As for the WSJ article on poll rigging, what I did was at the direction of and for the sole benefit of real Donald Trump POTUS. I truly regret my blind loyalty to a man who doesn't deserve it. It sounds like that he did it then. So right now, it sounds like he likely did this. Like, there's not going to be anything coming out that says he didn't do this. I mean, if this is the type of tweet you publish, yeah, it's certainly, I mean, if he didn't do it, he would have said that. So I think it's pretty much safe to say he did it, that this is true. As far as all the nitty-gritty details, we'll see if anything changes one way or another. This is breaking as of this morning. And the one thing that we do know with absolute certainty, this is fucking hilarious. It's one thing we could say without a doubt. This is freaking hilarious. I want a sex account symbol. Look, let this be a lesson to you. If you're going to get involved with if you're going to be a shady-ass political operative, make sure you get a little something for yourself. Make sure you get a sex symbol account for yourself, and then don't pay the person the amount you agreed upon. That'll never come back to haunt you, I'm sure. School of Michael Cohen. All right. So let's go here to a story that... Now, this story's not as hilarious. We started out with something fucking hilarious. This is not as funny, unfortunately. It's Union Busting 101. Documents reveal Verizon's attacks on organized labor. The U.S.'s largest wireless provider encourages staff to use anti-union rhetoric and disparages previous unionization efforts. Walmart does the same thing. A lot of the corporations in America do the same thing. This is by Michael Senato. Unions offer empty promises and unrealistic expectations and don't act with integrity, according to internal documents circulated by Verizon's Human Resources Department and obtained by The Guardian. In documents given to managers and employees, the U.S.'s largest wireless provider encourages its own staff to use anti-union rhetoric and disparages previous unionization efforts within the company. Several pages focus on the 6 Verizon retail stores in Brooklyn that voted to join the Communications Workers of America in 2014. These were the first Verizon stores to unionize. The union battles at these stores are used to frame unions as a danger to Verizon and its workers. The employees in Brooklyn were highly influenced into voting for the CWA. The documents allege they were swayed by a good sales pitch through empty promises and unrealistic expectations. Unfortunately, the union does not have to sell with integrity, and it was our Brooklyn employees who paid the price. Before you sign anything or even click submit online, think hard about joining a union and remember the story of your Brooklyn workers. What's the story of the Brooklyn workers? Verizon pushed for a union decertification vote in the Brooklyn stores, which workers voted against doing in August 2018. In a questions you may have section, Verizon offers further input against unions. So, wait a second. Verizon is telling their employees across the country that the Brooklyn stores are an example of why you shouldn't unionize and why they paid the price, yet their employees want to keep the union. Interesting. I get a feeling, I have a sneaky suspicion, that the actual employees at the Brooklyn stores weren't approached about this. Because it sounds like they might want to unionize. Or they did unionize, and they want to keep it that way. Why? Well, because it's screwing them over. They don't even know it's screwing them over. They've been hypnotized to think that living wages are good. They've been hypnotized to think that an entity protecting their employment is a good thing. It's not! Anti-union videos are the most ridiculous propaganda out there. Like I've watched a Walmart anti-union video. It is the most ridiculous thing you will ever watch. And I've not seen any Verizon ones firsthand, but come on, I'm sure they're exactly the same. I remember my first and only experience with a union was very positive. I was working at a grocery store. It was my first job as a youth. That said grocery store is still down the hill from where I grew up, and it also it's under new ownership and a new name now. But some of the employees are the freaking same. And I was there with my fiance in November around the Thanksgiving holiday. We had to go pick up a couple things for her to make a pie that she wanted to make, which was delicious. And we go, and I see one of my old managers from when I was working there, and he didn't like me for some reason. I don't know why. I had long hair and a lot of piercings, and I was kind of. I mean, I wasn't going to win Employee of the Year anytime soon. I worked at my own pace, if you will. Day jobs have never been my thing. But he never liked me for whatever reason. But I did my job. Like, it's not like I wasn't a slacker. I wasn't like Hustle Magoo. But I wasn't a slacker. But anyway, this dude never really liked me. Of course, he didn't recognize me. Because, you know, it's been over a decade. And I look a lot different. So he didn't recognize me, which was good because it would have been awkward. But anyway, I saw that dude, and I was like, holy shit, man, that guy's still there. Anyway, when I was working there as a teenager, this gentleman approached me as I was moving carts. And he said, hey, be sure you're safe when you're doing that. And I'm like, right on, man, I'm safe. And he hands me a card. And he says, we have your back. If you ever feel like you're not treated right, we have your back. And it showed me on the card the pay raises I was supposed to receive, the benefits I was eventually supposed to receive, and what the union did for me. And I could have stayed, if I would have stayed at that job for the rest of my life, because of the union protections that I had, and because of the raises that were required, I would have made a living wage. I would have made enough to survive. I could have stayed at... Now, chances are that union might be gone there. I have no idea. I mean, this is years ago, and I've, haven't even lived in the city for years. But based on the way the union structure worked, I would have been protected. Because that's what unions do. They protect employees. And now, at the time, I was a skateboarding punk rocker, so I thought it was so badass that I was in a union. And, some of my other friends worked there, too. So we would skateboard. We're like, yeah, we're union. We're freaking, we should start a third wave ska band. We were kids and we were dumb. But anyway, so let's see what else is in this. Verizon also criticized the 2016 strike of workers at the Brooklyn retail stores and nearly 40,000 other unionized employees who work as network technicians. The documents further explain Verizon's anti-union position. We don't believe unions are necessary at Verizon Wireless, or that you or your coworkers will be well served by electing a union as your collective voice. Meanwhile, Verizon pushed for a union decertification vote in their Brooklyn stores, which workers voted against doing. So the workers want the union, Verizon doesn't want the union, and who has your best interest? The workers who are your peers, or your employer who wants to exploit you? And yes, Verizon wants to exploit you. I don't think they're as bad as Comcast, but they ain't far off. And they're trying to dismantle the free and open internet. Verizon, Comcast. You really think an entity that wants to strip the free and open internet away from citizens so they can make more money gives a shit about their employees? They don't. And I'm not begrudging anybody that works there. I'm not shaming workers. I understand that sometimes that's the only job people have access to. And I'm pointing that out there because sometimes I get emails like, oh, I work at Verizon or I work at this and I'm sorry. Like, no, don't apologize. You're doing what you have to do to survive. This isn't directed at the workers. This is directed at the powers that be. And this is telling the workers, be aware they don't give a shit about you. Be aware that they don't give a fuck about you. And be aware that the strikes are happening because they need to happen. And they're happening in Brooklyn. Why? Because those workers have union protection. It's easier to strike when you have union protection. When you're working 2 and 3 jobs to live, because it's easier to exploit you, it's a lot harder to strike. It's hard to strike when you're paycheck to paycheck. When you have a union behind you and you have people behind you, it's a lot easier to strike. And strikes are what we need. So, I brought up how Verizon is a horrible company that exploits people. And I brought up how that's connected to net neutrality. And that brings me to our next story of the day. What's going on with net neutrality? We got a little update. Court signals green light for net neutrality argument. So the government shutdown will not delay the issue's latest day in court. So here's the article. It looks as though the oral argument in the Mozilla et al. Challenge to the FCC's Restoring Internet Freedom Order rollback, Title II-based network neutrality regulations, and the Title II classification itself will proceed as planned on February 1st. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit says on its website that oral arguments scheduled for January and February will take place, partial government shutdown or not. Various groups joined Mozilla in suing the FCC over the decision of the Republican majority to repeal rules against blocking, throttling, and paid prioritization, as well as to reclassify both wired and wireless broadband as a Title I information service. So, here's who's joining them in the lawsuit. Joining Mozilla in suing the FCC, Vimeo, Public Knowledge, Open Technology Institute, states in New York, California, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Iowa, Maine. A lot of states. A lot of states. Free Press. Good organization. The Center for Democracy and Technology. So, these are the people we're rooting for, basically. And what's the big crash course on what's going on? Well, net neutrality, which, by the way, we've had net neutrality since the advent of the internet. We've had assumed net neutrality. Then the cable companies took it to court, saying net neutrality was an overreach. Net neutrality assures that the internet flows like flowing water, that they can't discriminate over different types of content, that all websites are treated equally, there can't be paid prioritization, there can't be pay-to-play rules on the internet. Net neutrality assures that. Taking net neutrality away gives an internet service provider the ability to dictate what websites you can access at what price, how those websites load, what content providers get priority over others based on their ability to pay. It guts the internet. It makes the internet cable television 2.0. That's what's at stake if we lose net neutrality. Ajit Pai and the FCC repealed the net neutrality laws that we had on the books in 2015. In 2015, the internet was designated a Title II, which means it's a common carrier via FCC rules, and net neutrality was solidified on the books. Ajit Pai's FCC repealed that. And now we're fighting it in court, saying that the internet needs to be designated a Title II. And there's 3 judges that are going to hear the case. And the judge, that's the moderate judge, that's probably going to be the deciding factor. Her name is Judith W. Rogers. And the phone number to voice your opinion there is 202-216-7260. That's 202-216-7260. It's a public phone number. And that is the moderate judge who will be the deciding vote when it comes to net neutrality. And those arguments are going to be heard anyway amidst the government shutdown. There's a lot at stake here, and that's why it's my issue of choice. I'm fighting for municipal broadband in my community. We're going to show up to another city hall on January 28th. So if any of you are in Southern California, we're showing up to City Hall January 28th in Pasadena. And we're going to push the case for municipal broadband. In the meantime, I'm looking at the bill AB 1999, which made it easier to have internet co-ops and build broadband. It lifted some of the regulations against that. And I'm also trying to reach out to an internet co-op in Ohio to find out how they did what they did, because they have a successful internet co-op. In, I believe, Athens, Ohio is the city there. So there's your net neutrality muni broadband update. We're still fighting. It's been a long fight and a slow fight, but it's my issue of choice, and I'm fighting for it. And I've also talked to a number of people that are involved on a national scale on how we might be able to collaborate with this show. And I've also met a lot of you on tour who have shown up at your city halls to push for municipal broadband. I get emails from people on a regular basis that are doing that, and it means the world to me. And I'm trying to get an information library the best that I can. And on this YouTube channel, there is the Muni Broadband Net Neutrality playlist, and I'm doing my best to try to have a wealth of information available for people that want to be active on this issue. And it's a big one, because without a good communication vehicle, i.e. the internet that we've come to rely on, without that, all progress is going to be a lot harder. Near impossible. So we got to save the internet, basically. All right, that's the Net Neutrality Muni Broadband update. All right, we're going to go through this, and then I'm going to go to you guys, because I actually have to end the show a little bit earlier today due to some personal, some traveling I got to do. Guys, so you guys sent me this, and we're going to go through it because it's a special brand of holy shit. I just kind of gazed at it briefly, but we're going to dissect it. It's amazing that the 2020 election has kind of already started. And Tulsi Gabbard is the recipient of a lot of smears. And while there are certainly valid criticisms towards her, there are certainly things that I want to learn more about. There are also baseless, intellectually lazy smears thrown at her and thrown at Bernie in particular. You don't see that quite the same towards Kamala Harris or towards Cory Booker or towards Elizabeth Warren. Over on the GOP side, I mean, they've been a lot more quiet because, I mean, it's definitely, I mean, Trump's going to get the nomination. So anyway, this one, oh boy, it's a doozy. Is Tulsi Gabbard the Jill Stein of 2020? Let's explore. The Democratic candidate's perplexing Bannon-esque foreign policy. Right there. What an incredible... So, just because Steve Bannon, who is morally repulsive, absolutely morally repulsive, Steve Bannon, but because he was a non-interventionist in verbiage, and I'm sure it was only in verbiage. If Steve Bannon was still around, I'm sure he'd be fine with dropping drones willy-nilly. You have to call it Bannon-esque foreign policy. Right there is an incredibly lazy, unfounded smear, all right? Passivity towards Assad. You mean she went to Syria to see what was going on for herself and has concluded that our involvement is destructive. All right, so right there, those are two that are just baseless bullshit smears. And then there is the homophobia. Okay, once again, she was raised in a very conservative upbringing. It informed her politics. As the years went by, she changed. She has apologized for her past views. She has tweeted on multiple occasions that she does not have those views anymore. She has a 100% voting record from the Human Rights Campaign. 100%. That means she's voted on the right side for every LGBT issue. She has been pro-LGBT in every, for instance, with her voting. Okay, so right there, those three things, just in the subheading there, can kind of tell you that this article is going to just be a lazy smear piece. All right. And, you know, let's be honest, not to focus on surface-oriented things here, but like any smear piece, it chooses a photo that isn't the most flattering. This is not the most flattering photo of Tulsi Gabbard. This photo was picked deliberately. All right. The ill will towards Hawaii Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, who announced Friday that she is running for president, goes a long way towards explaining the political psychosis that has gripped the Democratic Party since Russia intervened in 2016 to elect Donald Trump. Right, it's Russia's fault that we have Donald Trump. How do people not get tired of writing this bullshit? It's Russia's fault that the working class was abandoned. It's Russia's fault that we had two of the worst candidates going up against each other in the history of American politics. It's Russia's fault that the DNC cheated the actual progressive who could have beaten Trump. How do they not get tired of writing this? Anyway, in another timeline, Gabbard might be an ideal... All right, Simone, American Hindu female, an Iraq war veteran, environmentalist. All right. So here we go. Liberals who once encouraged diverse primaries. When was that? Are now deeply suspicious of alleged spoilers like 2016 Green Party candidate Jill Stein. Really? They used to welcome Jill Stein. So in 2012, when she was tied to a chair for wanting to participate in a debate, that was the Democratic establishment welcoming her. The Democratic establishment did nothing about that because they welcomed her. In 2000, nobody said anything about Nader. You didn't hear any of that? You didn't hear anyone pointing their finger at Nader? First of all, just the concept of the spoiler is arrogant bullshit. Our elections aren't private. I mean, technically they are, but they're not supposed to be. We're supposed to have a frickin' democracy. And it's up to a candidate to get your vote. But apparently everyone was fine with diversity and different primaries until 2016. Then everything changed. They were fine with it up until then. In 2008, they didn't exclude anti-war candidates from the debate stage as soon as they could. They didn't try to kneecap the actual progressive candidates every opportunity and just make it the Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton show. That totally didn't happen in 2018 or 2008, excuse me. All right, let's go back to this horribly written article. Well, it's written fine. It's just the content is absolutely terrible. Perhaps the biggest red flag for the Russiagate crowd. Oh, wait, here we go. More. Who has faced question about her ties to Russia. There's a picture of her with Vladimir Putin that has been explained over and over again many times. Many times. She went to an event on her own dime. Jill Stein did. She went to an event on her own dime to talk about environmental issues. She happened to be seated at a table where Vladimir Putin was also there. It's so unbelievable people can even print this stuff. Perhaps the biggest red flag for the Russiagate crowd is Gabbard's perplexing coziness with Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad. She actually went there. She went there. She went there to see what was going on. Okay. Gabbard's foreign policy heterodoxy might be surmountable if not for a multitude of other original sins. In late 2016, amid rumors that she was being considered for a Trump administration position, yeah, and they were exactly that, rumors. They weren't considering her for anything. She took a meeting to talk about what was going on around the world. That's what she did. That doesn't mean she's Bannon-esque. That doesn't mean she was being considered for a position in the Trump administration. It means they wanted to talk to her about what was going on around the world because she was a veteran that actually knew about what was going on around the world. And she said, yeah, I'll meet with you and we can talk about it. What, should she have said no? Should she have said, I know that you're about to be president, but I'm not going to do that? I'm just going to say no. Like, what do you expect? She's a politician. It's so unbelievable. They're using that to smear it. Like, it's unbelievable. Like, you guys see how intellectually lazy this article is, right? Like, these are just smears. There's not valid criticisms in here. This is just a smear piece. And, you know, because our election season is going to go on for the next 2 fucking years, it's important to know the difference between a valid criticism and just a lazy smear piece that is inexplicably still published by outlets that want to have some kind of journalistic integrity, I'm assuming. I mean, everything in there has been debunked years ago. And here it is. It's just packaged and repeated. And let's see the exact date of when this was written, because I know it's recent. January 14th. Everything in this article has been debunked time and time again and explained time and time again for years now. I mean, pretty much everything in this article goes back to 2016, 2017. It's been the only time you see it is in a meme shared by the laziest of people. You don't like Jill Stein, that's fine. You don't have to like Jill Stein. But to regurgitate this just smearing propaganda because of a table she was sitting at, it's unreal. Dig a little deeper, please. You know, even though it would be bad for business for me, I wish we had what the UK had, where election seasons are 6 weeks long and they're actually way more issues driven. I really wish we had that. We'd have a better country if we did. And honestly, that'd be bad for me. I mean, like, as a content creator, that would be bad for me. Because of the longevity of our election cycles, more people get interested in politics, so more people find shows like mine. But I'd still rather have an election season that's not an embarrassing circus. And we do not have that in the United States. Our election seasons are a circus. Other countries around the world laugh at us, and deservedly so. And our news structure is not a news structure at all. I mean, I was, you know, I mentioned yesterday I was at a dinner gathering, and one of the friends there is Canadian. She's from Canada originally, and she, you know, and she's a very intelligent person. She pays attention to what's going on in the world, and she noticed. She's like, "Yeah, you guys don't have news here." Like, she noticed that. That was one of the first things she noticed when she got here. She's like, "You guys don't have news." I mean, at least not at the corporate cable level. Like, you don't have news. Like, you have this corporate-controlled media. It's not news. People from other countries, especially if they come from a country that has a state-protected media system, a state-funded media system, like, they'll tell you, yeah, CBC ain't perfect, BBC ain't perfect, but it's an actual news system. It's news. What we have is literally not news. And that's why you get pieces like this. Because they're propagated by the corporate media. Because Tulsi Gabbard doesn't serve the establishment narrative. She's anti-war. All right, let's go to the chat. And that's how we'll end today. Daniel says, what a joke. I agree, Daniel. Chris says, CNN, certainly not news. Ron, Harris aside, who do you think is going to sweep in the Deep South? I think the establishment hacks are going to undermine Bernie on Super Tuesday with that. We'll see. I mean, I think that... And again, I'm still, I haven't put my hat in the ring for anyone quite yet, but I do like Tulsi Gabbard for the reason that I think she could have a lot of crossover appeal, just kind of being objective here. I think that the fact that she's a veteran, the fact that she has experience in that arena, the fact that she's a non-interventionist, the fact that she's very likable when she speaks, she's very well-spoken, she's not afraid to do outsider things. There are many ways where she is the ideal left response to Trump. Trump ran on this idea that he was this anti-establishment rogue, and it's all a lie. It's all bullshit. He's totally part of the establishment. He was just on the other side of it for a long time. He's still part of the plutocracy. This guy's, was born a millionaire through no work of his own. He's part of the machine. But he played this kind of outsider role. People bought into it. They liked that. They were tired of Washington as usual. So I think Tulsi Gabbard is kind of another example of that, but she's a genuine left-wing populist example of it. So I think she's got a real chance, and I think that would resonate in the South too and in the Midwest. I really do feel that way. And I used to live there, by the way. Sometimes, Ron, you're in California. You don't really know. I've traveled the country full-time for 5 years. I used to live in Pennsylvania. I used to live in Tennessee. I went to college in Indiana. D. Canuck says that's why we get our news from YouTube. David, I suspect Tulsi will prove to be Hope and Change 2.0. I hope not. I mean, I hope she's the real deal. Do I know for sure? I don't know for sure. I mean, but, I've met her in person. She was really cool. For what that's worth. That's fine. Ron should get his donations from multiple sources. Thank you, Balthazar. I know, I should. Let's see what else you guys are saying. Zero Divisor says many veterans would vote for her. I think so too. I sent that Arizona teacher link. Thank you for doing that, NACDAD. I really appreciate that. Drumpf is the establishment. Of course he is. DLJ, England has news, the US has news. Z says the BBC equals horrible. I'm not saying the BBC is perfect. I'm not even saying it's great necessarily. I don't watch enough BBC to know, but I will say that the BBC, compared to what we have, is light years better. Compared to the media structure here in the United States. the BBC, you know, again, I make the analogy, you know, talking about the problems of the BBC versus the problems of the corporate media in the United States. That's comparing a paper cut to a cancerous growth. I mean, it is light years better. You know, is it perfect? Of course not. Of course not. Far from it. And I've seen some BBC. I mean, you know, I've seen smears they do against Jeremy Corbyn. Mike Figueredo gets a shout out. He has some good facts on Tulsi. He's not a fan. And that's somebody who has, I think, you know, I've not seen any of Mike's videos on it. I would like to see them, and I'm sure we'll be talking about it together some. But I'm sure Mike is somebody who has real criticisms, some actual criticisms. And Joseph Sakata made a video, too, of actual questions he has and actual criticisms we need to look into and learn more about. And David gives a shout out to the Eyes Left podcast on Tulsi from a veteran's perspective. I should listen to that. Mike Preisner is awesome, by the way. I respect that guy a lot. Let's see here. Come to Vancouver. Ahmed says we have weed. You guys have BC Bud. Some of my favorite, if I got to be honest. And Ahmed, we are trying to get up to Vancouver on our Northwest run. I'm hoping that we do. I'm hoping we do. Seattle, we're definitely going to do. Portland, we're definitely going to do. I'm hoping that we do Vancouver as well. Which, by the way, I got to sign out here. Tour dates. New York City, we just confirmed. Stay tuned. You know, the dust hasn't settled yet, but June 17th, New York City. Graham Elwood and I are coming. I'm so fucking stoked. It's been a couple years since I've seen you in New York City, and I can't wait to see you again. Let's see here. What else? March, Lafayette, Louisiana, Oxford, Mississippi, Pensacola, Florida, New Orleans, Louisiana. Tickets available now at romplicone.com. April, we're coming to Texas. Tickets available at romplicone.com for Houston, Fort Worth, San Antonio, Austin. May, we're going to be in Salt Lake City for 2 nights, and we're going to be in Boise, Idaho. Tickets available, romplicone.com. You know the drill. If you can support this show on the sustainability end, please do consider becoming a patron on Patreon. You get bonus content twice a week. You get my album, and you're helping me build this show. I'm really trying to dive into the municipal broadband cause. I'm trying to use this show as an instrument for that. I got to upgrade equipment. I got to get more staff involved, etc., etc. I cannot do that without your support. If you have $1 a month to spare, please do consider becoming a patron. My Patreon is pay what you can, so everyone gets the same stuff no matter what level you give at. I have to set a certain level, so I just set it at $5 just as a random like benchmark. But if you can't afford $5, any amount you give, you get the same stuff. It's a pay what you can Patreon. Guys, thank you so much for being part of this. Thank you for another wonderful week of Get Your News On with Ron. We will be back on Monday for Music Monday, and we're going to have a fun one because Music Monday is always a blast. We had Franz Nicolay earlier this week. It was our first Music Monday guest. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I had a blast with it. It was really cool to talk to him. Guys, thank you so much for being part of this. The podcast drops tomorrow. Please feel free to check out the podcast. If you missed anything this week, we do a summary of the stories we covered this week. And if you don't mind, write a review of the podcast too. The podcast is still very new, so we need some reviews going. And it's just Get Your News On with Ron on Apple Podcasts or iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Guys, have an amazing weekend. Thank you very much for being part of this. Thank you for helping keep me sane in this crazy world. Thank you for the compliments on the shirt. I don't think Mystic Warrior was ever here, which really sucks, but next time Mystic Warrior's here, we got to remember to tell him that everybody loved his shirt that he made for me. Because, yeah, he's in the chat a lot. I got to meet him in person in Gainesville, and he gave me this shirt as a gift, which was awesome. And everybody loves his shirt, but he wasn't here today to hear the accolades. So hopefully he watches the replay, or he'll be on a stream soon. So, guys, have an amazing weekend. Thank you for keeping me sane. I hope I do the same for you. This is me, Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. We get our news on together because it's a crazy world out there. It's a crazy world out there. We're better off getting our news on together. Peace.